Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Planning Committee taking place from the Walton Suite in the Winchester Guildhall. It's Wednesday the 13th of March and the time is 2 p.m. My name is Councillor Jane Rutter. I'm Chair of the Planning Committee. To my right is Councillor Edwards, Vice Chair of the Committee. Around the table we have the other elected members of the committee and we are supported today by our officers. Lorna Hutchins, the Service Lead of the Built Environment, Daniel Lucas, our Legal Advisor, the Case Officer, starting with Catherine Watson to my left, and Matthew Watson, who is from Democratic Services, who supports the committee and operates the recording equipment. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded to the Council's YouTube channel. Subtitles are available and advice on how to turn these on is set out on our website. Please can I remind everyone to ensure your mobile phones and any other electronic devices are on silent or preferably turned off entirely. In the unlikely event that it's necessary to evacuate the building, the fire alarm will sound. Please follow all the instructions given to you by our team. Please look at the handout provided on your chairs or on the information slides displayed as you walked in and during the breaks for further guidance about this meeting. Finally, I'd like to welcome members of the public to the meeting. Those of you who have registered to speak, I will call you forward when it is your turn to make your contribution. Members of the committee may ask you questions of clarification, so please remain at the microphone until after members' questions. The microphone is turned on by pressing the button on the base of the unit, and a timer will appear on the screen to remind you of your remaining time. So this is the afternoon session of today's Planning Committee, and we start on item number 11 of our agendas. And this is two planning applications in one, effectively, buy one, get one free. And it's for the demolition and recreation of a coach house to form 5 letting bedrooms, including reconfigured parking layout, outside seating areas and associated landscaping. And there is a listed building as well as a normal application. I just wanted to mention that the supporter today is former councillor Kim Gottlieb, who we all, I think those of us who have been councillors for more than a year or two know. I'm just asking members if anybody has a relationship with Kim which is above and beyond that of simply former colleague, if you'd like to declare it now. Is there anybody who feels they have an interest, personal interest, which is prejudicial to declare? No? Okay, good, that's lovely, thank you. So Catherine, we'd like to turn to you for your presentation, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a very quick verbal update to bring to members' attention an error on page 141 of the report, paragraph 4. It states that the complete number of parking spaces will be 27 from the existing 20. That's actually incorrect. It is 24 spaces, so there's an increase in 4 spaces and not 7. And then page 151, paragraph 4, there's a sentence in there that says there's an increase of 16 spaces, which is not correct. So just to clarify, existing number of parking spaces is 20, and it's proposed to add an additional 4 spaces, bringing a total of 24. Thank you, Chair. So the application is site is the Dove Inn, situated in Mitchell Devastation. Here we can see an aerial view of the site. So the bottom arrow points to the pub building and the top arrow points to the application building. And here we have the existing site plan. So the bottom right-hand corner is the pub building, and then towards the top left-hand corner is the existing building subject of the application. And existing plans and elevations, so the application building in the top left, and on the right-hand side, the elevations of that building. So the proposal is to demolish the existing building and replace it with a new building to the same size and scale, which will be used for 5 letting units. The the Dove Inn is Grade 2 listed, and the existing building is curtilage listed because it was constructed pre-1948. Also part of this application, as I've just mentioned, is the reconfiguration of parking and the addition of 4 spaces. So here we can see the floor plan of the proposed building. So we'll see this subdivided into 5 units. And the proposed elevation. So as I say, it will be same dimensions, but a new build separated into 5 units. Here we have the tree survey and protection plan. So during the course of the application process, there are 2 trees that fall within or near the site. T2, which is a cypress, T1, which is this lower tree here, which is a Monterey cypress. During the process of the application, T1 was subject to a tree preservation order. And so the amendments were made to the parking to take this into consideration. Here we can see there's a historic ordnance survey map progression. So at the top, this is the 1840 map. So you can just see the pub building and the station building, which is also Grade 2 listed. The middle map is from around 1870, and the red arrow points to the range of buildings as it was at that point, which includes, which covers the area of the building subject to this application. And then the bottom plan, 1896, again, we can see the main pub building and the range of buildings, which the application building falls within the footprint of. So here we have some photos. So this is of the south elevation. So the building in question is here. And then the east elevation. So as you'll see, it's fenced off. The building is in very poor repair, with parts of the roof fallen down and parts of the walls fallen down. And bottom right-hand corner, that's just looking at the east elevation towards the road. And here you'll also see the TPO'd tree. Top left-hand corner is the northeast elevation, so you'll see where the wall has collapsed. Bottom right is the northwest elevation, and you'll see that there's a great deal of ivy that's become attached to the building. And then this is the interior of the north gable and east walls. So you'll see the very poor condition of those walls. Then here we've got the entrance to the pub car park. So again, we've got the tree there, and you can just see the building in question. Bottom right-hand corner, you see the main pub building, the existing signage, which will be retained, and you probably just about make out the application building. And then the pub frontage again, you can see there's a sort of ad hoc parking arrangement with various benches and seats also situated there. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. We have 2 public speakers now. We have, first of all, the ward councillor, Councillor Stephen Godfrey. Councillor Godfrey, as you know, you have 5 minutes, and the time will start when you start speaking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I've been asked to speak on behalf of Michelton Parish Council and of my ward colleague, Councillor Caroline Horrell, who sent their apologies for being unable to attend. Having spoken to both the Parish Council and to Councillor Horrell, what I say today reflects their views as well. Councillor Horrell submitted an objection to this planning application more than 2 years ago. This objection is included in the officer's report. The first issue that she raised related to the threatened loss of the Monterey pine on the site. As the officer reported, this is now to be incorporated into the plans. and has protection of a TPO. The second issue, also raised by the parish council, relates to the treatment of wastewater. In Micheldever Station, there are 4 private water treatment plants serving multiple properties in this small settlement. All 4 have failed to some degree during my time as ward councillor, and 2 are still failing. This includes the 1 plant serving the main Dove Inn building and the 37 homes in Brunel Close. Despite years of investigation and negotiation with the Environment Agency, it has still not been possible to upgrade the Brunel system. It is this one issue that has concerned residents and the parish council, that an increase in occupancy of the Dove Inn site will exacerbate the problems with the current sewage treatment arrangements. I am in favour of the application, as it would improve the economic sustainability of the pub and associated business, making both the Dove Inn business and the settlement more sustainable. Removing the Dove Inn from the Brunel Close sewage treatment plant and onto its own private system would be a most welcome outcome for residents and for the parish council. The acceptance of the proposed sewage treatment solution for the whole site by the City Council's drainage engineers is most welcome. However, I am concerned that the delays in obtaining a discharge licence from the Environment Agency by the Brunel Close Management Company may be replicated for the new Dove Inn STP. The sewage treatment solution does need to be accepted by the Environment Agency to prevent any further delay in resolving the unfathomable challenges that Mr. Gottlieb and the residents of Brunel Close have been put through for so many years. I would be grateful if you would approve this application, while adding firmer conditions about the provision of the sewage treatment plant for the whole site, not just for the new holiday homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Do members have any questions or clarification for Councillor Godfrey, please? Councillor Cunningham.
Thank you, Chair. Are you saying, therefore, that the new sewage treatment plant will only be serving the new 5 bedrooms or the whole of the site?
Residents and the parish council would be would welcome confirmation that the application requires the plant to cover the whole site, which is mentioned within the proposal. I believe it would be gratifying to therefore residents to see that as part of a condition.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We will look into that. Thank you very much. Any further questions for Councillor Godfrey? No? You may return to your seat. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And finally, we have our supporter councillor, not councillor, former councillor Kim Gottlieb. Sorry, Kim. Oh, it's been a long day. So, Mr. Gottlieb, you have up to 3 minutes from when you start speaking. You know how to switch on the microphone. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, thank you very much indeed for this opportunity to speak. I'd just like to make a couple of quick points and then be available for any questions. And I'd like to clarify the answer to the last question. Just going through this though, first point is that the Coast House was already derelict and unused when I bought the pub many years ago. The building is well past its expected lifespan. Parts of the roof has collapsed, as you've heard, and the rest of the fabric of the building is rotten and beyond repair. The proposal entails a new building of the same size and form, which will meet modern living and environmental standards and which will have a practical life for many years to come. As you've heard, the chief reason for objecting to this proposal was the additional burden the new bedrooms might place on the sewage treatment plant that we share with the 38 houses in Brunel Close. This objection has been addressed by our including in this proposal a commitment to install our own treatment plant on our own land. The new plant will cater for the additional bedrooms and for the whole pub. We will be completely detached from the existing system. We'll have, deal with our own problems. One of the benefits is then it will be cheaper for Brunel Close to replace the existing broken plant in due course, as it won't need to cater for us. All the technical issues have been resolved to the satisfaction of your officers, and this commitment has been secured by a planning condition. As you've heard, there's also a condition to ensure that the existing tree is protected. In time, not only will this proposal make the pub more sustainable as a business, it will remove what is an awful scene of dereliction which affects the whole immediate locality. I'm very grateful for Councillor Godfrey's words, and I'm very grateful for the officer's recommendation to approve, and I very much hope you will concur with these views. Just to clarify the last point, yes, the plant that we're proposing on our site is designed to cater for the whole of the pub and the new rooms. Frankly, it would be logical just to have a plant for the 5 additional bedrooms, so we will be completely detached from the existing system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gottlieb. Any questions of clarification, members? Although I think you have covered the one particular issue that has been raised so far. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Catherine, is there anything you want to add before we come to questions?
No, Chair, thank you.
Members, do we have any questions for our officer on the whole report? If there are no questions, we will go to debate. Debate, members. Councillor Gordon-Smith.
Well, living as I do in a fairly rural area and knowing the struggle that the rural pubs have to survive, this one seems a very good scheme to give them another income stream and to keep the place going, local pub in a small village. I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Cunningham.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Councillor Gordon-Smith. Very, very wise move. I think also the main issue here is actually that the dirt that Dublin currently discharges into a shared Brunel Way sewage treatment plant. This has got insufficient capacity and becomes overloaded. So it is a major welcome improvement, as far as I can see, for the residents of Brunel Way, that the Dublin will no longer be discharging into this treatment plant. However, this is dependent on the efficacy and the reliability of the pub's new Clargester package treatment plant and the 250 square metre drainage field. I'm no expert in sewage and drainage, but I have listened to the replies given in respect of the expertise of the Council's drainage engineer and the environmental health officer, and that this is the right approach. I'm satisfied that that is the case, and I shall be supporting. Thank you.
Thank you. So if there's no more debate, this application is recommended for approval, and we're talking about the first application, not the listed building application at the moment. So this is 21-00737/FUL. Can I see those in favour of the officer recommendation to permit? I believe that's all members. Thank you very much. And now, Kat, if you'd like to move to the listed building application.
Thank you, Chair. The presentation for the listed building application is the same as the presentation that was run at the beginning of the planning application. So I don't propose to present that again unless members would like to see any part of it again. The only difference is the conditions, which are tailored towards the heritage issues of the application. Thank you, Chair.
So we don't go through the public contributions again. Members, do we have any questions on the listed building application, specifically the conditions? If not, we'll go straight to debate. If there's no debate, we will go to, yes, Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Chair. I must admit, looking at the presentation and looking at the photographs in general, there isn't a vast amount of it standing. So I can do nothing but agree with the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. So if there's no more debates, can I see those in favour of the officer recommendation to approve this application, please? Again, that's all members. So both applications for the Dove Inn have been approved. Thank you very much indeed. We now turn to item number 12 on our agendas. Which is for permission to vary condition number 2 on the drawings submitted as part of the application at Hampshire Hills, Sutton Wood Lane, Byton, the campsite there. And our presenting officer again is Catherine Watson. So Catherine, if you could take us through this application, please.
Thank you, Chair. The application is for the variation of condition 2 on previous consent, which restricts the use of the oak barn to the use of the manager of the site. The proposal is to allow the manager's family to also live with him on site. So here we can see the existing site plan. So we've got the oak barn marked in red. Here we can see Sutton Wood Lane and the neighbouring properties. An existing floor plan. So currently there's 2 levels. There's a living room, kitchen, and then formerly there was a communal shower and WC unit for those that were staying at the campsite, garage and workshop, and then top floor was a master bedroom and ensuite. So here we have the proposed development. So the building footprint, the building is staying the same. The only difference will be the addition of windows and doors and the subdivision of the space. So here we can see on the ground floor on the left hand side, we've got 2 bedrooms, ensuite, living room, kitchen, etc. On the top floor we've got the master bedroom and the ensuite. And these are the existing elevations. So at the top you'll see that's the garage, and then a few windows and doors. And the proposed elevations, so the garage will be removed and converted into living accommodation, and there are a number of additional doors and windows plus some roof lights, and it's also proposed to build a small shed adjacent as well. So here we have the aerial view. So in the red arrow points to the current warden's accommodation. And then we've got site views from Byton Hill. So the top image, you can just see the top of the roof. The bottom image, you can see the access into the site. And then the actual building as it currently is. And just the end elevations there. And that completes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We now turn to our public speaking, and we have a supporter, Ryan Snow. Hello, Mr. Snow. You have 3 minutes once you've started speaking. So no rush, take your time.
Okay, thank you.
And the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members. Here we have a site that has already been granted planning permission in 2019 for the use of the oak barn as a residential dwelling, tied by planning condition to the operating of the Hampshire Hills campsite. The 2019 permission, which was granted by this committee, recognised that there is a functional need for the owner of Hampshire Hills campsite to live on site to service the needs of the business and support this tourist facility. Just to be clear, the 2019 permission allowed for the formation of 2 bedrooms, a kitchen dining area and lounge within the oak barn to provide accommodation for the site owner and their family. It also allowed for the erection of a separate toilet and shower block on site, which has been implemented and built out. The current owners acquired the site 2 years ago and would like to make some modest internal and external alterations, including replacing the white old UPVC doors and windows with more sympathetic grey powder coated aluminium doors and windows. They would also like to remove the existing garage doors. This would allow for an improved configuration inside the existing ground floor, so that they can provide 2 bedrooms and a slightly larger open plan kitchen dining room space. These internal alterations simply mean that the owner can move his family into the property instead of his daughters having to share 1 bedroom, they can each have a bedroom of their own. As your officers have set out, the application does not seek to change the relationship between the already permitted oak barn dwelling and the campsite. The functional link will remain, and this will continue to be controlled by condition imposed onto this permission. It would simply allow for an improved internal configuration to meet the needs of the owner's family. This will enable the owner's family to live comfortably alongside him so that they can help facilitate the management of the business. As confirmed by your officers, the proposals would not result in any visual impact on the setting of the campsite or the surrounding rural character of the area. There would be no impact relating to on-site drainage, nor would there be any other technical objections to the proposal, and that has been confirmed by the relevant consultees. The owners have already invested a significant amount into the Hampshire Hills campsite, vastly improving the tourist facilities on offer. The current scheme will allow them to live on site with their family and continue delivering a highly regarded tourist accommodation facility. This is supported by policy CP8 of the local plan, which supports application relating to the tourist sector in the area. As such, I respectfully request that you support the scheme and vote with the officer recommendation to approve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, do we have any questions of clarification? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. I hope a small technical question. The proposed plans convert the entire building into living accommodation. And that means that a very fairly substantial garage and workshop is lost. Now, I imagine there's plenty of outdoor parking, appears to be. But what about the workshop facility? Where does that go?
Well, the workshop facility was only for the warden to use. It sort of doesn't relate to the wider campsite use. And you know, the proposals before you, he considers will meet his needs for the future. So he obviously considers a workshop not necessary.
I believe there's a shed included in this application, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. A 4 square metre little shed that would be located to the immediate rear of the property, you know, for storage of domestic paraphernalia, lawnmowers, bits and pieces.
Councillor Leaming.
Thank you. Is this campsite open all year?
Councillor Gordon Smith.
Sorry, could you just clarify? Substitute toilets and shower block have already been built nearby. Right. Okay. Thank you.
They were permitted as part of the 2019 permission, which was implemented.
Right. Thank you.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. My question is similar to Councillor Gordon Smith's, because in these plans, I just want to clarify. Obviously, there's the loss of the kitchen, shower, and toilet facilities, including disabled toilet facilities. The alternative facilities, are they enough to accommodate the campsite? Are there still disabled toilet facilities or kitchen facilities for visitors to the campsite?
Yes, the block that was built under the 2019 permission is sufficient for the continued running of the campsite, and that will have been confirmed by the council providing the applicant with their campsite certificate ongoing license, and so so it's all covered.
And disabled toilet facilities, are they included in that as well as the previous? I just, obviously the loss of the disabled toilet and shower, I'm just wanting to make sure there is an alternative for disabled users.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 2019 permission actually provided better facilities than what you see on those existing drawings inside the Oak Barn block.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. You may return to your seat now. So following that, is there anything you wanted to add, Kat?
No, thank you, Chair.
So members, do we have any questions for our officer on this report, please? Can I just clarify, the accommodation in the barn is directly linked to the use of the site, isn't it? So if the site's not being used as a campsite, then the barn would have to revert to an agricultural use.
That's correct. And condition 4 on page 195 ensures that that is what would happen if it ceases to be occupied by the warden linked to the Hampshire Hills business, then that use would then also cease.
Lovely. Any more questions, members? So debate. Any debate? No debate. So this application is recommended for approval. Can I see those in favour of this application, please? So that's all members. So that application at the Hampshire Hills has been approved. Thank you very much. We now turn to our final application of the day because item number 14 has been deferred until the April meeting of the Planning Committee. So that was the TPO application 2346 at Chilcombe St Giles in Winchester. So the next item, number 13 on our agendas, is for TPO number 2345, which is at land opposite 93 Old Kennels Lane in Winchester. And the recommendation is that the TPO should be confirmed. And our officer presenting is John Bartlett. So if you'd like to give us your presentation, please, John.
Thank you, Chair. So this is for the confirmation of TPO 2345. So to give you some background, we received information that the 2 yew trees in the group of trees were under threat of either reduction or removal. So we assessed the trees, and using a tempo assessment, they accrued a score of 19 points. They can be clearly seen from the public bridleway, which is opposite 93 Old Kennels Lane. And there are a number of views along this public standpoint, and also within Old Kennels Lane, between the houses there from Old Kennels Lane itself. And another view again from Old Kennels Lane. So yeah, these trees are highly visible as a group, and they have a good future potential to be there for a considerable length of time, as the yew trees are long-lived specimens. And to deal with the objections that were raised, the main objections were to do with the safety of the trees and the size of them over the bridleway. In response to that, we require more arboricultural justification for more arboricultural evidence to say that the trees are unsafe because there's no indication that the trees are unsafe in any way. So we require further evidence to consider that. In terms of the highway or bridleway clearance, the statutory clearance is 3.75 metres, and from carrying out a site visit, it looks as though that has been achieved with the clearance there. However, if the branches do become lower, we would be able to accept minor crown lifting works to achieve the statutory clearance. But works that would be more drastic than that would compromise the natural appearance of the tree, or if they were removed, it would be detrimental to the landscape and rural character of the area. And so we recommend that this TPO is confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Okay, so we have one public speaker, Mr. Peter Dingley. Good afternoon, Mr. Dingley. So you have up to 3 minutes to speak, and that time will start when you start speaking. So there's no rush, take your time. And the microphone is switched on by just pressing the button at the base. Lovely.
So thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to speak. I'm representing the views of both myself, 93 Old Kennels Lane, and Martin Cooper, who lives at 91 Old Kennels Lane. We are the two houses which are impacted by the height of these trees. Just one point, the main objection to the trees is the lack of light. The safety issue was also raised as an aside, so a slight misalignment there with the case officer. The trees have grown unchecked for many years, as the properties they overshadow were actually unoccupied since 2017 until we moved in. And that's why it's only now the issue of the height of the trees is being raised. Photo 1 that I supplied to the committee shows historic evidence of tree maintenance having been conducted on these trees, despite all the claims that are thrown to the contrary that no work has ever been carried out on these trees. I also have a photo taken yesterday when the bin refuse lorries came along, unfortunately too late to submit, and the bin lorry cannot get up the lane because there is no room under the trees. So if it did proceed, it would damage the trees. The TPO was raised essentially because the trees are under immediate threat of being felled. That is actually not the case. Felling the trees would be tragic, but the TPO also prevents the trees from being managed. If unmanaged, then the light to our properties would continue to be even worse than it currently is. We're all familiar with the rights of access. If the trees were blocking the road, I'm sure they would be trimmed, as the case officer explained. The committee is no doubt aware of the Antisocial Behaviour Act 2003. Part 8 gives property owners rights for hedges and trees to be kept to a height to allow sunlight into their gardens. These yew trees meet all the criteria defined in the Act to be considered a hedge. Application of this Act is covered in the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister's guidance on hedge heights and light loss. Annex 4 provides a methodology that shows these trees should be reduced to a height of less than 3 metres to support the passive solar design of my house and the PV arrays on the roof. But that's not what I want. We don't want them taken down that far. It'd be very detrimental. But a reasonable compromise seems to be for the community's desire to keep the visual impact of the trees, our rights to sunlight, and the environmental benefits of the supporting the eco-efficiency of the house, is to allow the trees to be maintained to a height of 5 metres. Photo 2 shows little impact this would have on the view of the trees. If the TPO includes a caveat that allows this trimming to 5 metres, wholeheartedly supported. Such a caveat would also be efficient, as the points raised will not change, and so would avoid the committee having to meet again to discuss this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, do we have any questions of clarification for our objector? Sorry, Carol Slay-Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. I thought I had heard you objecting earlier in your presentation, for which thanks, because the tree was overhanging the roadway and causing problems for access. And then you went on to talk about capping the tree at a height of 5 metres. Would that remove the problems that it poses to the road?
My request all along, and I've made a request to council to trim the trees, has been to reduce the height for the light issues. But what I said in my application to this was, I thought being community minded, that because there are access problems up the lane with the bin lorries, I've shown that photograph, not getting past, I thought if any work is being carried out on the trees, I'd be happy to also remove those limbs which obstruct access. What seems to have happened is the safety aspects seem to become the main thrust of discussion, and no discussion about my rights to light from these trees. I mean, the parish council has also put its view forward on this one, sort of supporting the maintenance of these. But nowhere in any of these conversations does the right of light access come into the conversation, which is quite disappointing, because that's why I raised the request to trim the trees.
Councillor Williams?
Just expanding on the light, I mean, how many hours of the day does this obstruct your solar panels?
In the winter, it obstructs them for approximately 6 hours. I did do some measurements. In the summer, it's not actually a problem, so it's not really there. But in the winter, of course, we're much more fuel conscious and a lot bigger load on the network. So the desire for electrical generation of solar arrays is actually greater in the winter. But again, the guidance in the memo from the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister talks about the solar arrays should be unobscured from 1 hour after sunrise to 1 hour before sunset. The calcs on that is where you get this measure. They should come down a lot lower than they are. Even with the suggested reduction of the trees I'm asking, they will still obscure my solar arrays during the winter periods, but a lot less than they currently do. Very difficult to ascertain the exact hours until you can actually do those measurements. So it is a compromise. I'm not asking for the full height reduction, but just a compromise to basically get that balance.
And just a further question, when the solar panels were installed, sort of how old are they?
Solar panels are just coming up to 2 years now. Just on that, interestingly, the guidance for the Act actually says whether the house is built or not is not a valid consideration about whether the tree should be taken down. Paragraph 598 actually says the presence of the house there or not should not be considered as whether it's a justification to reduce the height of the trees or not. Now, I have those details here if anyone would like to inspect them.
Councillor Cunningham?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, but why haven't you not made a separate planning application for crowning?
I did.
When?
I submitted that about 8 weeks ago to Mr. Bartlett. I was pursuing that conversation and Mr. Bartlett said that is completely different to this discussion about the TPO, which surprised me. So he recommended that I shelve the planning application, which I did. But the planning application did raise all these issues about, as he says, the only way that he would consider trimming of the trees would be if I could provide a arboricultural report stating that the trees are at risk if they weren't trimmed. It's the only way he would consider.
He's correct, because that would be the basis upon which the trimming and the crowning could be carried out.
But does not the presence of the Act change that view? That's a legal document, I understood.
Better leave to the experts, but as far as I'm concerned, that would be the case.
Okay, we're not here to have a discussion, I'm afraid, just clarification. Councillor Lee, you have a question.
Yes, I do. Thanks, Chair. I wonder if you just clarify with me, from my mind, what is your priority here? Is it light, your renewable energy, or access safety?
So my priority fundamentally, because I don't use a lane other than walking along it, was fundamentally about the light access to my garden, the solar arrays and the passive solar heating of the house. The house is designed as a passive solar sink. So that was my main concern. And as I said, I thought it was community spirited to say, because these trees, the branches actually overhang my hedge already, and the bin lorries can't get up the lane, as we saw, well, the photo hasn't been submitted, then it just seemed prudent that if somebody was going to do some work on the trees, that to improve safety of a lorry catching the trees and damaging them and then causing a subsequent safety issue on that, both to the trees and public, it just seemed sensible to suggest that they were trimmed for safety reasons at the same time.
And if I may, just do you have the standard 4 kilowatt array for a domestic property?
No, it's closer to 5 kilowatt.
5 kilowatt. Yeah, thank you.
It has all the DNO certifications and sign off.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. You may return to your seat. Thank you. John, do you want to update us on anything following that discussion?
Yes, please, Madam Chair. So in terms of the solar panels and the daylight, yeah, I recognise that's an issue as well. But in terms of the amenity value of the tree, the Secretary of State's guidance is that the higher the amenity value of the tree or woodland, the stronger the reasons needed before consent is granted. So the proposed works, is my professional view that those works would have a negative effect on the amenity value of the tree and its presence in the landscape. So we need stronger reasons to be able to justify that level of work that is being shown there. Yeah, so that's what I'd say on that.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take questions on the officer's report now. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Chair. The proposed work, you said, have negative effect on amenity. Can you make a judgment of what that means in terms of the biodiversity ecological value, which is another aspect which I appreciate is not necessarily within your remit?
Well, in terms of the biodiversity, it is possible that bats use that tree due to the features in those trees. So that's a possibility, but it will support a number of different species as well within that tree. Food for other sort of birds and those kind of things as well. So that will definitely be an element in terms of biodiversity.
Thank you, John. My apologies to Councillor Laming. I forgot that you have stepped out from your normal seat on the committee and you want to speak as the ward councillor. So we'll go back to public speaking and allow Councillor Laming to have his 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm speaking on behalf of the residents of the Bridleway. This particular set of trees is very important to the area, and none of the residents would like them any work done on them. They do not have a problem with vehicular access on that particular part. The trees are very slow growing, and nobody in the last 30 years can remember any work being done to them. So they're there in situ as an important part of the landscape. They also act as a bat roost in the summer because there's a big bat colony further down the road, and really a lot of people back what the tree officer said when he was asked his opinion. And that's really the other problem is the trees are not on the applicants, are not on the land that are owned by the person that's asking to have the work done.
Okay, questions of clarification for Councillor Laming, the ward councillor. Councillor Lee.
Sorry, Councillor, I didn't quite catch that. Did you say the trees are not on the person's property that's concerned about loss of light?
Yes, we've got a bridleway going up there, and as far as people can remember, that it was a ransom strip that was held by the Hursley Estates when it was split up, and the land hasn't been registered since then. So this application to work on it is work on a tree that's not on a property of the person that's applied for it, and I think that's quite a strong point.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Councillor Laming. And my apologies for missing you out like that. You weren't on my list. Okay. Sorry, John, back to you and questions, members, on any other part of the report. Councillor Williams.
Thank you very much, Chair. Being no tree expert myself, how how old would that tree be?
Well, yeah, those trees are actually younger in terms of yew trees for that type of species. I'd say at least sort of 50 to 70 years old, but there's potential to be a lot much longer lived specimens there given time.
Thank you.
Can I ask how much bigger they are likely to get? I know they're slow growing.
Yeah, they'll still get to, it hasn't reached full maturity. They haven't reached full maturity. So there is a little bit of a way to go there, but I wouldn't say not significantly, but there is still some potential for height and spread to increase.
Councillor Lee?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it grieves me to say this, but is there a compromise in terms of, the least amount that can be taken away to give the light opportunity for the property owner behind, and perhaps give them some additional renewable energy benefit without too much detriment to the tree ecology and so on?
Well, in terms of reducing the tree, it's a difficult one because reducing the tree will change its natural appearance because it hasn't been managed in that way before. In terms of the statutory clearance on the bridleway, we could be amenable to lifting the tertiary growth if it's shown to definitely be causing an obstruction to the highway or bridleway there. So something along the lines of crown lifting the tertiary growth would be more acceptable.
Could I ask, John, are you saying that you don't, in your opinion, this tree has not been in the past pollarded or dealt with in any way? Because I think that photograph that we were shown earlier clearly did show that some work had been done on the tree.
Yeah, so there's some work on the lower branches historically that's been carried out, but I wouldn't have said a major crown reduction has been carried, especially on the tree that's in the foreground there, in terms of a crown reduction. So that's going to, immediately lead to a more detrimental impact on the natural appearance of the tree.
Okay, any more questions? So we go to debate. Who would like to start? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I'm completely minded to support the confirmation of the tree protection order. On the safety issue, the area I live, there are plenty of single track roads, bridleways, whereby there is, heavy goods traffic, farm machinery going through, and, it does impact trees. We can't get rid of the trees to sort of mitigate that. I know this isn't an application that's getting rid of the trees, but the amenity value of this tree is enough to warrant its protection. I do understand the argument in regards to the light. Unfortunately, my logic would say that with the solar panels only being 2 years old, a tree being 50, 70 years old, the siting of the solar panels should have been, taken into consideration in regards to a tree that will eventually grow. So I know that's quite a sort of harsh view, but it's the logical one when I'm coming to my conclusion today. So I'll be supporting the implementation of the tree protection order.
Thank you, Councillor Lee.
Yeah, it seems to me that there's a number of issues here. The amenity, which the tree officers mentioned, there's ecological value, which we've touched on. There's renewable energy aspects, and then there's the light aspects, and of course safety. And the one other we haven't talked about, given climate crisis and so on, is carbon sequestration. A mature tree like that, its goods and service benefit to wider community and the environment is beyond measuring in a way. But I just wonder, the only compromise in my mind would be perhaps a tertiary growth, minimal crown lift up, cut just to overcome any future safety issues. Otherwise, I'm happy to support the application.
I don't think we get the choice of what bits we'd like to lop off or not. I think we either confirm or don't confirm the TPO at this stage, Councillor Lee, but any further contributions to debate? Councillor Edwards.
Yes, it is clearly a difficult decision because there are lots of incommensurable benefits, shall we say, from a large tree next to a solar array. But something we haven't touched on, I think is worth considering, is the contribution that this tree makes at the end of quite a long row of trees that grows sort of up the hillside, and to the many walkers on the paths and country lanes in the valley. This is part of the green screening that that helps to soften the impact of the southern fringes of urban Winchester, and I think it would be sad to see it diminished. So I should be supporting this.
Thank you. So this application is this TPO is recommended for confirmation. So can I see those in favour of confirming this tree preservation order, please? Are there any against? No, that's all members. Lovely. Thank you. So that is confirmed. And that's the end of today's planning meeting. Thank you very much indeed, everybody.